Now, well, I'm just a dirt farmer. I'm not a technical person. I'm trying to understand this. You know, I'm just watching it all, and you know, I'm watching their responses. They're just blowing their minds. You know. At the time, I didn't understand the importance of this 56%. You know, I eventually learned what it meant when I filed my patents later. Which, let's go to the next slide. All right. Now, there's a gentleman by the name of Hal Puthoff. And he did a paper, and this is in March 1st, what? Can you read that, Barry?
89, I think.
1989. It's Physical Review A, volume
30, number 5, I think.
All right. And it's entitled Gravity as a Zero-Point Fluctuation Force. Now, this man is a theoretical physicist by training. And I understand we have a couple theoretical physicists in the audience right now, believe it or not. Whether you are teaching art or you're teaching feng shui, it doesn't make any difference. You have a formal training in physics, you know, you can appreciate this man's training. All right, this man is a theoretical physicist. Well, I don't like theoretical people, basically, because they're theoretical. I like experimental, you know. But this man, I have a great deal of respect for. I can't understand any of this mathematics. Can you? Now, maybe our physicists back here can. I can't. I mean, this is really complex for me because it looks like Chinese writing to me, which is totally foreign, you know. But I have to show it to you because he did say something very profoundly important. It's a theory about gravity, and he says that gravity is not a field. Gravity can never be discovered out there in the universe someplace as a separate field because it doesn't exist as a field. Gravity is produced when the protons and neutrons and electrons of the atom interact with the vacuum energy. And everybody understands the vacuum is the vibrating material. It's everywhere in the universe. In other galaxies, every piece of matter all over the universe is running on the vacuum and feeding their energy off the vacuum. And that's why protons and electrons and neutrons run forever, because they're continually taking energy from the vacuum. And I don't know what the number is, but I read it someplace that in the vacuum energy, in 1 cubic foot of the vacuum contains more...
Centimeter.
1 cubic centimeter contains more energy than what? No, somebody said it was all the nuclear bombs all exploded at once won't equal the energy that is in 1 cubic centimeter of the vacuum. Yeah.
And if you were to presume that it lasted 8 billion years or something like that, it's more energy than the sun has produced or ever will produce before it goes nova.
Okay. In other words, a lot. And for the newbies, this is a lot. Okay. And it's just science. Basically, everybody knows that there is such thing as the vacuum. It's the underlying vibrating frequency that is vibrating so subtly that we don't experience it in our macro three-dimensional existence. But in the world of the atom, it literally is running on it. It's the stuff that continually feeds the atom that means it runs for billions and billions and billions of years and never runs down. Okay? He said that if you calculate using all this wonderful mathematics that I don't understand, and I wish I could read this all to you, but what he's saying is that when you calculate mathematically, when the energy comes from the vacuum and creates what we call gravity, matter interacting with other matter in 3 dimensions gives us a certain quantity of gravity. But in this part right here in this paper, and you can find this or you can actually read it on this video screen up here, he says, but matter, when it's interacting in 2 dimensions, which is what I said my stuff theorized to be, resonating 2 dimensions, not 3 dimensions, that you have to correct it by a 5/9 correction factor. 5/9. So matter that's interacting only in this direction, like a superconductor, doesn't weigh what matter interacting in 3 dimensions is like. So you must correct with a 5/9 correction factor. My material loses 4/9 of its weight and weighs 5/9 of the beginning weight of the metal. So where did the 4/9 go? It's still there. It's just not in these 3 dimensions. Now this is heavy, people. It's very heavy, but it also is telling us what gravity is. And remember, when you control gravity, you control space-time. When you know what gravity is, you're working with space-time. Now, if you could shrink yourself down to the size of an atom and literally walk inside the atom and be in there with the electrons buzzing around outside and the neutron, the protons right here beside you, you'll be in the world of the quanta. And in that world, there is no time as we understand it. It's only when you come up in the macro world, in our 3-dimensional world out here, that time is invented by mankind to describe change. Water runs downstream at miles per hour or feet per second. You get old in years. Everything happens in time. But way down there in the world of the quanta, there is no time. And something I want to emphasize is a superconductor is billions and billions of atoms resonating in 2 dimensions as a harmonic unit. Literally, all these billion atoms are acting like one single atom. They're all in total harmony with each other and resonating in unison in 2 dimensions. So a pure superconductor should really weigh 5/9 of its beginning weight. Now, nobody has been able to weigh a type 1 superconductor when it's superconducting, because anything comes in contact with it warms it, and when it's got to be 4 degrees Kelvin, anything introduced into it warms it up, so it's a real problem to weigh at that temperature. But that's the theory that he has of gravity. The very fact that it...
How warm is your superconductor? What is it?
Well, at room temperature, the gold is at room temperature. Iridium is at 200 degrees. 200 degrees temperature, it's actually flux flowing. Now that's important information, people. Really profound information. See, yttrium, barium, copper oxide. Copper is one of these elements too, people, but when they build yttrium, barium, copper oxide, which is the type 2 superconductor, what they've done is created a yttrium, barium oxide that is like an egg basket, so they can hold a single monatomic copper in that egg basket. Now, if you try to produce monatomic copper, it'll never stay monatomic. It keeps going back to diatomic or larger cluster because it's too small. But if you can create a matrix where that atom stays in that matrix, you literally can get a superconductor, because that atom resonates with another copper atom, resonates with another copper atom, and causes what they call type 2 superconductivity. I don't know what we call our stuff. It's just another form of matter. But science will name it eventually, I'm sure. Anyway, let's go to the next slide. That's an important paper, by the way, people. He's written a lot of good papers, but one of them is entitled Everything for Nothing. But this paper on gravity is really profound, because he does theorize what gravity is, and we have proven with our testing what gravity is. That's what's important. All right. This is my patent application. Okay? I'm not going to show you all the many pages of it. I just want to show you this is the title page. We filed a patent on this material. And it was on all the platinum group elements. We're saying that they, in their monatomic state, if they're annealed, they go to this lighter color, virtually white on most of the materials, and they resonance connect in 2 dimensions. And in this form, they are not visible by X-ray diffraction, X-ray fluorescence, emission spectroscopy, atomic absorption, or even neutron activation. It is identifiable by DC arc, but it isn't identifiable by induction coupled plasma, which is one of the new technologies. It's just not receiving energy. Well, when you understand that a superconductor literally has around it a Meissner field, and it doesn't allow any external magnetic field to enter the sample. None. Not 99.999, but 100.000. No interference can enter the sample, and therefore it runs perpetually. A superconductor, when it started, literally runs forever and ever and ever and ever. It's billions and billions of atoms acting like one single atom, running forever.